Rentvesting is about living where you want, but buying where you can afford. It's a fairly new investment philosophy that's come around with people of our generation that don't want to have to live out in the sticks. They want to happily still invest, but not sacrifice that lifestyle. To be able to have flexibility to travel. It's really about minimizing your rental expenses and then investing that surplus bit of money to build your wealth. Instead of being like our parents that would just live out in the suburbs and chip away at that mortgage for 30 years. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the pros of rentvesting and how it can help you manage your cash flow. But first of all, why would you reinvest? Rentvesting's really come about because of cities like Sydney and Melbourne, where it's crazily expensive to buy houses that are near the city. And so people might not want to sacrifice their lifestyle and have to live out, a 50-minute drive from the city. So the alternative is looking at renting really close to the city where you've got the lifestyle and the cafes and everything else, and investing somewhere else where you're not necessarily having to live. So what are some advantages of rentvesting? Number one is lifestyle. Like I said, you don't need to live out in Rose Hill to invest to be able to buy a property that's under $1 million. With rentvesting, you can live in the city, you can live near your work, and you can potentially invest somewhere out in the suburbs or even in another city because you can. Advantage number two is being able to get into the market way quicker. Again, using Sydney as an example, the median house price is almost $1 million. So to be able to save up a 10 or a 20% deposit on $1 million, $100,000, $200,000 can take a long time. Whereas with rentvesting, you don't need to do that. You can look at buying in the fringes of Sydney, you can look at buying in Brisbane, in Melbourne, on the Gold Coast, wherever you want, where property is much more cheaper and much more affordable, and you can still not have to leave Sydney. You can still work in the city and keep your job. Which is point number three, you can select where you want to invest. With the traditional way of getting a home, you have to buy obviously where you're gonna live. It's pretty hard to buy a house in Melbourne if you work in Sydney. It just doesn't work. Whereas with rentvesting, it totally works. You can still live in Sydney near your job, near your friends, near all the great cafes and stuff, and you can look at investing somewhere else, which gives you another advantage, which is diversification. The traditional way of looking at property is that you sort of get to know an area. If you know Alexandria and Sydney, you just buy all your properties around there, you buy investments around there, and you never really get diversified. The good thing with rentvesting is you can look at other places that aren't where you live. Like I said before, you can look interstate, you can even look at shares, you can look at other investments. It doesn't necessarily need to be property as a way of building up your investment portfolio. So is rent money dead money? Really, it comes down to your figures. You've got to do the sums. If, for example, you're paying $500 a week, that's $2,000 a month in renting, the equivalent mortgage would only be about a $350,000 mortgage. So in Sydney, you're not going to be able to buy a lot of house for $350,000, $400,000 of mortgage. The good thing with rentvesting is you can invest the difference. So instead of getting $1 million property and paying $7,000 a month in mortgage repayments, you could look at investing the difference. So you pay $2,000 a month in rent, the extra $5,000 you would have been paying on your mortgage repayment, you invest elsewhere to build up your property portfolio and get it to the market and get your investments going way quicker. So I guess in summary, what are the benefits of rentvesting? It's that piece around lifestyle. You don't need to move in the house and live in it for 30 years. You can invest elsewhere, travel, pick up and move, and you're not tied down. Number two is that diversification piece. So you're not locked into where you live for work or your own city. You can look in other markets that might be doing better or different things than where you currently live. And the third thing is really, there's potentially tax benefits. As an investment property, you get other tax benefits that you wouldn't normally get when you buy a house. So that's the rentvesting piece. Which one did you like the best? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to know below.